we were thinking about like who to do the first episode for, and Seifeth said, let's do this super underground band that I really like. And I'm like, oh, don't you think we should do like something bigger for our first episode, so we can get more views? But she's like, nah, we got to do Led Zeppelin. So I'm like, okay, we'll do Led Zeppelin, like anyone's ever heard of them.
Woohoo, Led Zeppelin.
So Led Zeppelin. How do we even start this?
I don't know. Well, we got 4 guys, right? John, Jimmy,
Yeah.
Robert,
Yeah.
and John Paul.
Yeah.
Who I call Jonesy. He lets me call him that, but I don't know about anybody else.
Jonesy works for him. Because it's a nice, like, chill name. It's not, like, aggressive.
Yeah,
He doesn't seem like an aggressive guy.
No, he seems like the voice of reason in the Bond.
Well, they say, according to that one video we saw on YouTube from a very reputable source, that that they all sold their soul to the devil except for John Paul Jones.
Yes.
So if you didn't know that before, you're welcome. All right. But I feel like if we're going to talk about Zeppelin, we got to go back to the Yardbirds, right?
Yeah, we definitely do, because Zeppelin was technically the new Yardbirds.
Yeah. I was thinking about this yesterday. So, like, the way that I've understood it to happen is so there's a band called the Yardbirds, right? Who had a lot of great guitarists in it. Mm-hmm.
Beck. Jeff Beck is the only one I know, but I don't know about any others.
But so the Yardbirds were a band. I think they were from London, somewhere in the UK for sure, but I think it was London.
Yeah.
Jimmy Page was the last guitarist in that band. Mm-hmm. And the Yardbirds broke up, but they already had some like dates in Europe somewhere, like a contract somewhere.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, like, why was it Jimmy Page that ended up like fulfilling the contract if he was like the newest member?
Well, I think everybody was sick and tired of being on the road.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, people wanted to like go home.
Right. So like, but I was just thinking, it's like, so how did that fall upon Jimmy to his responsibility to fulfill the contract?
I have no idea. I know these guys are all session musicians. They all know each other. I have no idea why it's Jimmy's responsibility. These are one of those stories that they tell when they're just like, and then it just happened overnight.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? We'll never know the details of that. Like, that must have been his blood contract.
Do you think he signed it in blood? Do you think maybe it was just like he was like ambitious enough to want to get that money that was left on the table?
Yeah, and I don't know if it's the money. I think Jimmy just wants to play, and that's what they kind of said about him in the Yardbirds too. They were like, man, when he walked into the studio, he was like so excited, ambitious, like, oh my gosh, like he was so excited to be chosen because he was known as a session musician, but then to be known as somebody who is wanted in a band, they said he was like super, super excited about it. So and even when the older members are getting sick and tired, when they wanted to go, like Jimmy was really trying to persuade them, like, no, let's write I got some new like vibes and stuff to put in. And they were just no, man. Like,
that makes sense. Because if he was like the newest guy before they broke up, and he would have still been like all fresh, like, oh my God, it's the Yardbirds, let's do this, let's do that.
Right.
And then everyone else is like, we've been doing this, kid. Like, come on. So anyway, the Yardbirds broke up. They had a contract to finish some more tour dates. So Jimmy Page is like, all right, well, we're gonna fill this contract, but I need a new band. Mm-hmm. So he's like, I'm gonna start a band, the new Yardbirds, right?
Right.
So this is how I know of it going down. I might be wrong. So apparently Jimmy Page knew John Paul Jones from when he was a studio musician. Mm-hmm. So he was just like, hey, come do this thing I'm doing. And then John Paul Jones apparently knew Robert Plant.
I don't know how exactly. I know I remember John Paul Jones saying something like he was like moping around the house, and like his wife was sick of it, and she was just like, look, Jimmy's starting a new band, you need to call him up and get the heck out of here. Like,
okay.
And then he called Jimmy. He's like, okay, I heard you're starting a band and I want to join it.
Okay.
I don't know who knew Robert Plant. I know Jimmy didn't know him. Like,
yeah.
I know that, and I know they went to go see him sing. I don't know who knew him though.
I don't. Maybe it was they saw him somewhere or whatever. But I do know that Robert already knew John Bonham.
Yes.
They were like childhood friends or something.
Right.
So by the time the 4 of them met up, It's just so crazy. Sometimes I think about Led Zeppelin. I'm like, it's so crazy that these four people that were so talented ever even met up to do this in the first place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like now, as like time goes by, as I'm not a child anymore and growing into a woman, I see that like when you have those like attributes, you find each other. Like, you know what I'm saying? The synchronicity of what life is or whatever just throws you in there together.
And by attributes, you mean devil worship.
Yes, exactly. You must be the best devil worshiper, or else it's just not going to work.
Yeah, you got to be A+
in your devil worship.
But yeah. So this is the thing though. Like, people talk about Led Zeppelin and like, there's obviously four members, like we're saying, but people need to know that. Like, Led Zeppelin is Jimmy Page's band.
Yeah.
Like, that's, like, the whole thing exists because of him. He was the producer for all the early records. Mm-hmm. Like, he helped to really, like, define what they were. Yeah. So, I think that's important to say. Like, obviously, like, Robert gets a lot of, like, you know, the spotlight. Yeah. But without Jimmy, there would be no Led Zeppelin.
There wouldn't be any. I mean, they said he was playing, like, Dazed and Confused as one of the Yardbirds songs. Like, you know.
That's
like,
interesting.
It was, like, similar. Very, very. I've heard it. It's, like, very, very, very similar. Like, when you hear it, it sounds like a Muzak version of Dazed and Confused. Like, so it's like, you know it's coming. What he wants to bring to us. Yeah. The people of Earth.
Yeah. The Earthlings.
Exactly. Because Satan doesn't live on Earth. No, I'm just kidding.
That's true. So Jimmy and the boys met up, right? I don't know. I heard that Keith Moon named the band inadvertently. You heard about that?
I did hear about that, and I thought that was the story, but, you know, I'm not going to lie. I was just watching something last night because I'm all Zeppelined out. Like, I love Zeppelin. But I was watching something last night, and it wasn't Keith. It was John Entwistle that said it. So, I mean, you know, you just looked over to the next person.
Shout out to The Who.
Yeah.
Also, maybe we'll do an episode on them at some point.
I would love to.
Okay, so I guess they were talking. Jimmy was like, yeah, I'm going to put this band together. And somebody was like, oh, that'd go over like a Led Zeppelin. Meaning like a heavy balloon that's just going to fucking crash and burn.
Yes. Yes.
Which is kind of rude to say to somebody.
Yeah, but when you're, I guess, you know, when you're like fist fighting blokes from The Who, you can say anything. You know, if you can knock a man out on stage and then sing with him later that night, then, you know, you might say some other rude things too from time to time. If you could
almost blow your guitarist's ears off, then I'm sure you don't care about saying something rude to some other dude that's not even in your band. But, shit, what was the last thing we said? So they met up. Mm-hmm. At some point, they went from the new Yardbirds to Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, they picked the name.
And then that's when shit started going crazy.
Yeah.
Because they were just so fucking good that you just couldn't deny it.
Yeah, that's
really
the thing.
What happened.
That's the thing. That's like the so cool part about it. And I never knew this about England. I knew there was a North and a South, but I never knew that the Beatles are from the North and like the Stones are from the South.
I didn't know that.
Whoa, right? Like that's like cool. That's like almost like here. Like it gets down and gritty in the South. The music gets a little better.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, this is absolutely crazy. But yeah, so the Stones and like Jimmy and these people are from the South, and that's a difference in the sound, right? Like, because I can like the Stones don't sound like Zeppelin, and they don't sound like Sabbath, and they don't sound like the Who, but all those four bands I just mentioned do not sound like the Beatles. The Beatles are like vanilla, right? And they're like
that's interesting. Makes me want to learn more about like the UK?
Me too.
And geography and
Me
shit?
too. I do too. I actually, there's certain people that I kind of respect. I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent, but
do it.
What's the name? The lead singer from Foreigner. First of all, I didn't know that was a British band. Like
Foreigners? British?
Yeah. And the name is telling you right there, like, yeah, we're foreigners. No, but like.
Not if you're English.
Not if you're English. It's true. Like,
in England, their band is called Citizen.
What should we call it? But yeah, so those people are involved with early Zeppelin days too, like in opening up for them, and they all like hang out together and know each other. And I was just like, I didn't know that they were a British band and they're from like that area, because like I was reading something the other day, and like Foreigner came up, and like these people are all really close to each other, and I'm just like,
yeah,
I thought Foreigner was like an 80s hair band from North somewhere in America.
I thought that too.
Yeah.
All right, well, shout out to those blokes from Foreigner.
Yeah. Right.
But so they got the band together, and they were just clearly amazing. And like this is where the fact, like, a lot of people that aren't in bands don't really understand how every member is so important to the sound.
Yeah.
And like, for me, the most important part of the sound of Led Zeppelin has to be John Bonham.
Okay.
It has to be John Bonham, because he plays drums, right? And he's got a foot like a fucking brick. Mm-hmm. Like when he's hitting that bass drum, you feel it in your chest.
Yeah.
And it's wild, because like, you know, like as far as like what Jimmy's doing, like he was a kick-ass guitarist, but he's playing like variations of blues guitar.
Yeah.
Right? Like blues guitar had existed before.
Yeah.
He didn't invent that shit.
Right.
He probably kind of took some things from a lot of people,
Yeah.
right? Which we know about. But anyway, so blues guitar is like blues guitar. It's great. But what made the sound of Zeppelin so heavy, especially for the time, is the drums.
Yeah.
If you put another drummer in there, it just wouldn't be the same.
No, it definitely won't sound the same. I forgot who they opened up for. It's not. Is there a band called Purple?
Deep Purple?
Not Deep Purple. Was there just a regular band called Purple?
I don't know them.
I don't know. I forgot what band, but whoever, oh man, I wish I could remember what the band's name was, but I don't know. But Zeppelin was opening up for this band, and then, you know, they became like bigger than Zeppelin. I mean, no, Zeppelin became bigger than them, but they were discussing, and the drummer for that particular band, right? It's a big band, and they know it in England. I don't, and if you're from like that era, you'll know it. I don't know the band. And the guy's like how he was a drummer for that band, and you know, Zeppelin used to open for them. And like when Zeppelin did a real successful like run with them, he bought John Bonham his drum kit.
Oh.
So he bought him everything. Like he bought him the tom-toms, he bought him the gong at the back, he bought everything, the works and everything. And he was like, you know, there's a lot of drummers that don't use their stuff, but like Bonzo's going to use his stuff. So he went to go see Bonzo play, and he was like, he asked him, he was just like, what is that you do with your foot? Like, why do you, like, how do you do it and stuff? And John Bonham said to him, he's like, I got it from you. And he was like, what? And he was like, yeah. And then John Bonham pulled out one of his albums and played a track. And he's like, you see, you do it right here. And he was just like, wow. It's like
I didn't even know.
Yeah, he's like, he took something small that I did and made it like his style.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.